Welcome back to Rich Words Music, where today we're looking at this. It's the Ibanez ICHI00 Ichika Nito signature electric guitar, and this one's in the offset Talman body style that Ibanez are very well known for. Now this guitar came out in May 2023, and it's the second signature guitar that Ichika Nito has had with Ibanez, the first being a headless, more Stratocaster-esque double cutaway guitar. This one is brand new for this year, and it offers much in terms of its specifications and in terms of the features that you get for the price, which is currently, at time of filming, about €699 or dollars, or 450 Great British pounds. So very much an affordable signature model guitar for 2023. And what we're going to do in this video then is I will tell you about the specs and features of this guitar, then we'll play it in as many different musical styles and settings as possible, and at the end I'll give you some more in-depth opinions of mine, having played this guitar pretty intensively over the past few weeks. But first, a little story from my side. When I first saw this guitar, I wasn't even aware that it was an Ichika Nito signature model. I just thought it was a random Talman, a new model, perhaps an Yvette Young model or a prototype or something, when I saw it at the 42 Gear Street 5 event. And an Ibanez rep came across and told me, no, this is the second Ichika Nito signature model. I'd previously tried the headless version at 42 Gear Street 4 a year previously, and there's a video there with me discussing it, but this one is much more up my street, at least in visual aspects, because it's an offset guitar. It's got 3 single coil pickups, and it looks kind of nice and quirky. And if you're a fan of offset guitars, I think this one is going to be right up your street. Just a little disclaimer before we move on, there's not going to be any Ichika Nito-esque riffage in this video. That's not something I can do at all, and that's something that of course he himself has demonstrated better than anybody. So if you want to hear that kind of amazing playing, go elsewhere and watch some of his videos. In this video, I'm going to focus on the style of music that I play, and that's pretty much exclusively rhythm chords. So indie rock, classic rock, hard rock, punk rock, and some cleaner, more classic 60s style sounds. That's what we're going to do in this video. If you want flashy lead playing and amazing fretboard skills like Ichika Nito demonstrates every video, then you'll have to watch his videos instead. Disclaimer over, let's carry on and let me tell you about the specs and features of this guitar then. So we've got a nyatoh or nyatoh body here, covered by this rather classy looking vintage white finish, which extends to the back of the body as well, of course, and we've got a nice sparkly white scratch plate. Gives it a really nice classic elegant sort of a look, especially with this dark rosewood fingerboard. Now this guitar on first look appears to be something of a hybrid between a Stratocaster and an offset like the Ibanez Talman, and it does have 3 pickups in the Strat sort of a style. Now these pickups are custom designed by Ibanez and Ichika Nito together. They're the ICHI-S model, and they're single coil passive ceramic pickups. There's 3 of them, and you might expect that we have a 5-way switch here, and we do, alongside a master volume and a master tone control. Now another thing, a takeaway from a Strat or a Talman, is the way that the jack input here is on the top of the body. What we also have here on the body side is an Ibanez vibrato bridge. This is the T106 model, and each of the 6 strings is individually adjustable for action and intonation here. Moving across to the back of the body, and you can see that we've got a tummy cut here, and we've got fairly decent upper fret access over here. You'll see also that it's a smaller body than your traditional offset like a Jaguar or a Jazzmaster, and it's very comfortable to have either standing up and playing with a strap or sitting down and playing like that, and the guitar balances well whenever I've played it. Moving up to the neck, and we have that lovely dark rosewood fretboard and a roasted maple neck here. Now I was a little bit worried when this guitar was shipped to me because it's a wizard neck, but it's actually a wizard C, so it's not super thin and it's not for shredders only. It's a really nice satin finish, and it's not a fat neck, it's not a thin neck either. It's nice and medium, feels good in the hand. I'd recommend you test it before you buy it, but I'd recommend that with every guitar anyway. Now the 22 frets on this rosewood fingerboard are medium in terms of size. We have a 25.5-inch scale length here, which is 648 millimeters, so Fender scale length effectively. We have a 41 millimeter nut here, and we have a 305 millimeter fingerboard radius, which is about 12 inches, which is pretty nice, flat and modern feeling. Moving up to the headstock, we have that traditional Ibanez Talman headstock, which is going to divide opinions for sure, but I love it. It really goes with that nice offset vibe. type, and if I twist us over to the back, we actually have 6 Goto MGT locking tuners. So those are pretty decent specifications for the under $700 or euros price point, especially when we consider that this guitar has signature artist tax added on top of it as well. So that is the ICHI-00, and what we're going to do next is play it in as many different musical styles as possible. Now my rig for today is going to be my Hughes & Kettner Black Spirit 200 amp. We're going to be going from the red box out of that amplifier straight into my recording software. We'll start on the amp's clean channel and we'll play some folk and some pop and some country and some funk and stuff like that. Then we'll kick on the Greer Lightspeed organic overdrive pedal and play some indie, because this is an offset and I think it's going to be great for indie rock style sounds. After that we'll go to the amp's crunch channel and play some classic rock, and then we'll go up in terms of gain as well. We'll go to the lead channel of the amplifier and play some harder rock and some punk and some alternative rock, and then we'll go back to the clean channel. I'll kick on my Rev G3 distortion pedal, we'll tune the ICHI-00 down to drop D and see if it can do a bit of metal and a bit of modern day chugging, because why not? Enough talk then, it's the Ibanez Ichika Nito signature ICHI-00 model. Let's play it now and we'll speak in more detail about it afterwards. Okay then, so that was the Ibanez ICHI-00 Ichika Nito signature model, and I hope you enjoyed the playing and the tones. Leave me a comment down there telling me what you thought of the guitar, whether you thought it sounded decent, and whether or not you think it's worth the $699 or euro asking price. But what I'm going to do now is go through in a bit more detail and give you my opinions about this guitar, having played with it pretty intensively over the past few weeks. Now, Ibanez were kind enough to send me this guitar to make this video. I've got to send it back afterwards, and I'm not getting paid, so all these opinions are 100% my own, just so you know that. Now, my first impressions of this guitar were fantastic, and as I said in the intro, I didn't realize it was a signature model either until someone from Ibanez came up to me and told me that this was an Ichika Nito guitar, and I was kind of floored by that because it really is very unassuming as signature models go. It doesn't have a signature on it anywhere, just the model number printed pretty discreetly on the back of the headstock, and so you could really fool anyone into thinking that it is just a standard Talman model, and I think that's a pretty cool and a pretty humble way to do things from the standpoint of Ichika Nito. But anyway, the Talman model looks great. It's an offset that looks really cool and elegant as well. I like the Yvette Young models that are currently available too, in the more out there sparkle finishes, and you can't really get any other electric Talman models right now, so this is pretty decent to actually have in 2023. Now, like I said, I like the fact that we've got a dark rosewood board here. The white body looks nice and classy too, and a dark roasted maple neck is always going to attract me visually as well. When I picked the guitar up for the first time, I was pleased with the weight. This specific one weighs 3.4 kilograms, which is 7 pounds 8 and a bit, so a fairly decent weight, and like I said before, it balances very well as well. And as soon as I picked it up, I realized that it has the standard, really decent Ibanez build quality. The frets have all been done really well. The roasted maple neck feels really nice and smooth. You've got these Goto locking tuners, you've got the Ibanez vibrato bridge, which is stuck flush to the body and really holds tune pretty well when you use it. The volume and tone controls and the 5-way switch, they do their job perfectly. In terms of imperfections with the paint job and with the body, nothing that I can lay my hands on anyway, so that's good enough for me. And in terms of the playability of this guitar, well, it's got a really nice, really ergonomic offset body. You've got the belly cutaway on the back there. You've got really nice upper fret access thanks to these bulbous sort of lower and upper horns there. It's just really nice for that kind of playing. And like I said before, the wizard C-shaped neck is really nice and comfy for my hand anyway, and it just works for me. These medium frets are decent. They do the job fantastically well. So overall, for €699, Goto locking tuners, a roasted maple neck and a rosewood board, custom designed Ichika Nito ICHI-S pickups, and a nice Ibanez vibrato, which you don't have to use of course, and that is really adding up to decent value for money for me. But the other thing that we have to talk about of course is the sounds. Does this guitar sound any good? Now, the first impressions that I had in terms of sounds before I plugged it in was that this was kind of a Strat-esque guitar in terms of pickups, but it's got that offset vibe too. And in terms of tonality, I think that's actually actually where we sit. When I plugged it in, I was kind of in your Strat sort of a world. You've got those quacky in-between tones, that's for sure, but this has that Ibanez modern, pristine, almost hi-fi edge to it, especially when you're playing clean tones. It's a very modern sounding guitar, it's very pure sounding, and of course, it's perfect for the kind of sounds that Ichika Nito would want to get from it, which is why, of course, it's his signature guitar with his custom designed signature pickups in it as well. It sounds fantastic for all of the music that he plays. He plays very, very clean with some nice reverb, and he almost gets piano-esque sustain out of this guitar. Those were not really the clean tones that I was personally looking for, but everything I tried with this guitar on the clean channel of my amp worked fantastically well, and that encompassed everything from folk and pop through to some country and even some cleanish indie rocky sort of tones. It just worked really, really well. I really like the bite of the bridge pickup on here. The neck pickup has slightly less character than the other two pickups, but the quacky in-between sounds, the 2 and the 4 pickup selector settings, sound really, really decent. It's sort of Stratocaster ballpark, but it's slightly its own thing too, and it just really worked for me. So I was really impressed with this guitar for the clean tones, as I probably should be, because its signature artist is of course a master of clean tones. When we kicked in the Greer Lightspeed, that sounded fantastic for indie rock stuff as well. The bridge pickup is great for that sort of stuff. The middle pickup as well is sort of an unsung hero of that kind of sound. Of course, Albert Hammond Jr. from the Strokes is famous for only using the middle pickup on his Fender Strat for his Strokes tones, and that's one of my ballpark sort of inspirational sounds, and it really worked with this guitar too. When we went for the classic rock stuff, again it was mostly the bridge pickup, and that gave us a surprisingly fat, thick and beefy sound. That was with the crunch channel on the Black Spirit 200, and it's more of a Marshall mid-pushed sort of a sound, and it sounded really, really decent. So nice work there from the pickups too. And even when we went into higher gain sort of territory and did the punk rock and the hard rock and the progressive rock, I was surprised at how fat these ICHI-S pickups actually sound. They keep up with high gain, no problem whatsoever. Of course, when you edge up the gain levels, you're going to get more noise, but that's a single coil pickup issue across the board and not just with these pickups. But what you also get with these pickups is astounding clarity across all 6 strings. And that was even true when we kicked in the Rev G3 pedal and went down to drop D. It was really, really clear, and we were getting some pretty nice dirty metal tones. Of course, you lack the fullness and low end of a full, fat humbucker, but that's not what this guitar is about. And so overall, in terms of versatility, this guitar can pretty much do anything when it comes to sounds. It's perhaps not the most sweetest, classiest sounding S-type guitar or offset type guitar that you're ever going to hear, but it covers pretty much any musical base, and for that reason alone, I'm going to have to rate this guitar very highly in the sound stakes. 2 thumbs up for the ICHI-S pickups as well. They're really, really decent, and they just do that thing. Really impressed. Now, if you've been watching this video and you like the sounds and you're a big Ichika Nito fan and you want something like this, but maybe you're not quite taken with the Talman, well, what should you go for? Well, of course, don't forget that there is another ICHI signature model out there. I've actually featured it briefly in another video that I did before at 42 Gear Street 4 in 2021 or 2022, a year or 2 ago anyway. That's a very, very cool guitar, but it is significantly different to this one. It's a headless, more S-type guitar in terms of design. It has different pickups. It has a roasted maple neck and fingerboard, jumbo stainless steel frets from memory, 24 frets as well. So it's a different kettle of fish, and it's a bit more expensive too. But if you're an Ichika Nito fan, then it's a definite must check out. Because it's headless, it also comes with a pretty nice padded gig bag as well. I remember that too. Now, if you really want a Talman type design and you want something a bit more out there or a bit cooler looking, if you don't think white is exciting enough, well, there are a couple of Yvette Young signature models currently out there for around €1,000 or dollars, and they come in 2 fantastically amazing or disgusting colors depending on how you look at it. I love them both. There's an orange cream sparkle and a green slime sparkle, or something like that. Slime green sparkle, I think it is. Those are 2 sparkly, fantastic looking guitars. One of them has 3 pickups, a similar sort of layout to this guitar, and one of them has 2. It is a hardtail bridge as well, so it's more like a Telecaster in that style. So it's a very interesting option there. Check out those guitars if you get the chance. I've never personally played either of them, and that's something I'm going to endeavor to do after having played this guitar. Now, if you're into something Stratocaster-esque and want something a little bit different, of course this guitar is going to be perfect. But if you want something Stratty, then you're going to get similar ballpark tones as well. And something for around the same price is going to be something like a Fender Player Stratocaster or a G&L legacy tribute model, or maybe something like a PRS SE Silver Sky model. Those are going to be a bit more expensive, but if you like classic Strat sounds, then those are going to be the way to go. And if you want to do something like this, but offset and a little bit different as well, well, there's a bunch of cool options there as well. If we're talking Fender, then of course there's the Fender Player models, the Player Jaguars and Jaguars. Those are great guitars with a bunch of different colors, finish options available, different pickup operations as well. So check those out if you're into the whole offset idea for this sort of a price point. Then there are other more out-of-the-box guitars like Dan Electro, for example. D'Angelico have some pretty cool offset guitars at this sort of a price point. Then there could be another out-of-the-box choice like something like the Guild Surfliner, or maybe even the Squier J Mascis signature Jazzmaster. That is a fantastic instrument. However, I have one fantastic recommendation if you're looking for a sub $1,000 or €1,000 offset guitar, and that is the G&L Doheny tribute model. I've done an in-depth video on one right there a few months back, and that is a fantastic instrument. There is also the G&L Fallout, which is another offset model which I haven't tried yet, but many people on the channel have told me I should, and so I'll endeavor to be doing that in the not too distant future. All of those guitars would be decent choices to give you similar vibes to this guitar. They're all going to sound different, they're all going to feel different, but check them all out and you never know. One of them might float your boat slightly more than this one, or in fact it might be the Itchy that you go for. Who knows? But check them out before you buy them and you'll find the one that works for you. In conclusion then, I'm incredibly impressed with this guitar. Now, signature guitars often have something against them, because if you're not a fan of the player who has their name on the headstock, or in this case not on the headstock, then you're not going to buy that guitar. But I think that that does a lot of signature guitars disservice, and this one in particular is a fantastic offering if you're someone who's interested in the offset sort of a vibe, or if you love Stratocaster-type guitars. This is effectively a hybrid between the two, and it looks fantastic in my opinion, it feels great, it plays really nicely, and it sounds really good too. And for just under $700 or euros, you're getting quite a lot for your money. You're getting Goto locking tuners, a roasted maple neck, a really nice dark rosewood fingerboard, which is a really great thing for me personally, and this overall really nice feeling and playing Ibanez experience, along with these custom designed ICHI-S pickups. So it's a really, really decent package, and I thoroughly recommend that you check it out if you're in the market for something like this. And I think that this is a guitar that overall should appeal to way more than just Ichika Nito fans, although of course there are already millions of those out there. This is a guitar that's really going to appeal to offset fans, to fans of single coil models, and just for someone who wants something a little bit different looking in 2023. I can't recommend this guitar highly enough in those terms, and I would say go and try one if you get the chance. You never know, you might like it as much as I've found myself liking it. The only downside is that it doesn't come with any of Ichika Nito's talent, because that would be fantastic. Just 0.01% would be good enough for 99% of players, I think. But anyway, I hope that this video has answered all of the questions that you might have had about this guitar, but if there's anything else you'd like to know, drop me a line down there in the comments and I'll do my best to answer to the fullest extent of my knowledge for you. And if you're still here, it would really make my day if you wanted to give the video a like, or maybe even sub to my little channel, because that really does help. But that's been it for today's video. I've been Rich for Rich Words Music, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.